Yeah.
You can take it out as a life income fund, but then there are restrictions when you turn 72. You're restricted as to how much you can take out and how much you have to take out.
Okay, we are live.
Right.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. We respectfully acknowledge that the County of Haliburton is located on Treaty 20 Mishi-Saugig territory and in the traditional territory of the Mishi-Saugig and Chippewa Nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nations. We acknowledge the shared presence of Indigenous nations throughout the area and recognize its original inhabitants as the stewards of its lands and waters since time immemorial. Could I have a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda today? Moved by Member Snyder and Member Kennedy. Thank you.
Be it resolved that the February 12th, 2024 Land Division Committee agenda be hereby approved.
All in favor? That's carried. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof today? Hearing none, could I have a mover and a seconder to adopt the minutes of January the 8th? Member McKelvey and Donald.
Be it resolved that the minutes of the Land Division Committee meeting held January 8th, 2024 be approved as printed and circulated.
All in favor? That's carried. So we will move into our applications for consent. The first being Hunter and Gotchchuck on Harmony Road in Dysart.
Thank you, Madam Chair, to committee. First application is H00123 for Hunter Gotchchuck. Sorry, that's a typo. It should be 24. Properties at 236 Harmony Road, which is just abutting the Haliburton Village settlement area. And I'll share a screen with committee and walk through some sketches. I trust everyone can see the sketch. Okay, I just want to go back in time a little bit here to show the committee how this property originally was configured. Back in the day, this property, subject lands consisted of 2 lots, being part 6 and then the other one part 5. And the side lot line was here. And these properties remained in that configuration until they were put in the same name, and then they subsequently merged. And as a result, the owner built a house which is straddling a part of the lot line here where my cursor is. And I'm going to just show the severance sketch now. So here's that house, and then here's the original lot line between the 2 properties. So what this application is going to do is basically recreate part 6, but with a slightly modified shape. And that's to ensure that the setbacks to the buildings and other structures on the property are maintained. So the severed lot has 185 feet of frontage on Harmony Road, and it'll have an area of 1.5 acres. The retained lot containing the house will have 257 feet of frontage on Harmony with 3.4 acres in land area. Staff attended the site, reviewed it against the county OP policies. We have no objection to the proposal. Dysart staff have also endorsed the application, subject to the conditions that are in the staff report. And I'd be happy to answer any questions committee may have. Thank you.
Questions from the committee? Member Kennedy.
Yeah, Adam, there's a stream on that property. Whereabouts does it play any effect on distances away of where you could build the building envelope? Or?
Through you, Madam Chair. So the stream is on. I'm just going to take a look at the.
I drove over, but I couldn't quite tell whether it was on the retained lot or just exactly where it's right on that corner. So.
Yeah. So through you, Madam Chair, I'm just going to share a screen again. I'll show you exactly where that creek is. So if you can see this squiggly line here.
Yeah.
That's the creek. So when this property was created, they basically used the creek as the lot line. So as you can see, it's quite a ways away from the severed lot. So there won't be any impact on that creek.
Member Snyder. You're on mute, Bob.
Sorry. Thank you. Adam, in the report, there's a sketch that's labeled current, and it's got a green 10-meter easement across it.
Yeah. Yep.
Just what does that pertain to?
Through you, Madam Chair. So the municipality of Dysart Public Works Department has requested that easement for drainage on the retained lot. That's what that green notation is.
And is that part of this application, or is that coming subsequent?
No, it's a condition. One of the conditions of consent is that that easement be
Okay.
placed. So the surveyor will shoot a new part.
Okay.
Any other questions from the committee? I understand that Mr. Hunter was going to speak to the application. Is Mr. Hunter here?
Mr. Hunter's not in attendance today.
Okay. Then I would like a mover and a seconder for a resolution to grant provisional approval for the application. Moved by Member Kennedy, seconded by Member Snyder.
Be it resolved that the Land Division Committee of the County of Haliburton received the report related to application for consent H-00124 Hunter and Goschuk, and that the Land Division Committee for the County of Haliburton grant provisional approval of application for consent H-00124 Hunter and Goschuk, subject to the conditions of approval. Member McKelvey?
Yes.
Member Snyder?
Yes.
Member Kennedy?
Yes.
Member Donald?
Yes.
Chair Danielson?
Yes,
Thank you.
that's carried. Okay, the next application is for a bell easement on Taylor Road in Minden Hills.
Thank you, Madam Chair, to committee. So application H-00224 is for a bell easement across the granting lands, which are known as 1009 Taylor Road. And I'll share a screen briefly, committee. So the proposed bell easement is highlighted in orange here, and it's on two parts. The subject lands, it's a large rural property, and if committee's aware, the dam between Mountain and 12 Mile is down here. And that's basically where the hydro line starts. So this bell infrastructure is going to use existing hydro infrastructure. So it's not proposing any new poles or any new modifications to the ground. It's going to use the existing infrastructure. So it's going to basically be along part 2 up to here and then part 1. And there were some pictures in the site package. It's basically that hydro cut is already there. The poles are already there. So there won't be anything new or different, just that the bell is going to piggyback on the hydro infrastructure. Staff recommend approval subject to the conditions in the report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Questions from the committee? It's unfortunate that the easement has to go right through the very middle of a property, but it is what it is. I believe that there was going to be a Ron Nightingale here to speak to this application. Is Mr. Nightingale here?
Yes, he is. We are just moving him forward now.
Hello.
Good afternoon, Mr. Nightingale. Is there, you've heard the planner's report. Is there anything that you would like to add to or comment on this application?
No, I'm just here just in case there were any questions. There are no
Okay.
questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Nightingale? Seeing none, then could I have a mover and a seconder to grant provisional, to receive the application and to grant provisional approval? Member McKelvey and Member Donald.
Be it resolved that the Land Division Committee of the County of Haliburton received the report related to consent H-00224-1869472 Ontario Incorporated, and that the Land Division Committee for the County of Haliburton grant provisional approval of consent H-00224-1869472 Ontario Incorporated, subject to the conditions of approval as listed in the staff report. Member McKelvey?
Yes.
Member Snyder?
Yes.
Member Kennedy?
Yes.
Member Donald?
Yes.
Chair Danielson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the last application for a new rural residential lot on Bitter Lake Road in Dysart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Application H003-24 is for 1144 Bitter Lake Road, and I'll share screen with committee. So the subject property at 1144 would, it's I'll start over. The proposed severed lot is in yellow here, and this would be severed off the southwest corner of the retained lands, which is 1144 Bitter Lake Road. The severed lot would have an area of 0.94 hectares, which is 2.3 acres, and it would have 272 feet of frontage on Bitter Lake Road. The retained lot would have an area of 13.3 acres with 1,027 feet of frontage on Bitter Lake Road. And as you can see, the retained lot contains an existing dwelling, and the severed lot, an EIS was submitted with this application. The EIS recommended that no development occur basically in the southwest corner where there's steep slopes, but otherwise a suitable driveway entrance location was located at the north end of the lot. And basically the back part of the parcel is all eligible for development in accordance with that environmental study. So I believe there was something in the line of 80,000 square feet of developable space. So staff have no concerns. Application was endorsed by Dysart. County staff have reviewed the application. We have no concerns, subject to the conditions that are in the staff report. And I'd be happy to answer any questions committee may have.
Questions from the committee? Member Kennedy.
Yeah, just clarification, Adam. Was the original lot considered a back lot by any chance? Or is it just a vacant land? It's zoned RU, but if it's a back lot, there's a lot of conditions on the back lot, and I see that they're going to do a zoning change, but this doesn't meet any rules for RU1 or anything as far as the lot area, frontage, or anything. So is that going to be addressed by the lower tier when it comes to them?
Through you, Madam Chair. So I'm just looking at the conditions here, and the Dysart does want a zoning amendment.
Yeah.
Site development plan and a severance agreement. So if there are any deficiencies for frontage and area, that'll be addressed through that zoning amendment. Yeah.
Okay. And with the secondary 300 feet from 300 meters from a lake of capacity, would that be included in a condition? Do you think it's not in the environmental impact study that I could find anywhere? But
so the nearest lake at capacity is Bitter Lake, and it's on the other side. But this property is beyond 300 meters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Member McKelvey. Go ahead.
I was wondering this whole backlot development too, so it's not impacted by that because it's outside the 300 meters from the capacity lake?
Through you, Madam Chair, the 300 meter from at capacity, that's a different policy set, which we basically say, you can't put a new lot within 300. The backlot policy that's a more specific Dysart policy. And in this case, just looking at it, I'd have to ask Chris, but I don't think he considered this one a backlot, but I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to ask him. But the zoning amendment is really what'll take care of any deficiencies in area and frontage. So council endorsed this one, so I'm gonna assume that they were okay with this for their official plan.
Member Snyder.
Thank you. Adam, I've got a couple of questions. The description of the retained lot says it's got a house and a garage, yet there appears to be other structures on the property off of Cypress Road, both in the satellite view, and I didn't attend the property, but I did look on Google Street View. You see other structures. Are those structures still there? And the property shouldn't be just described as having a house and garage if it is.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I see in the air photo from 2018 that it looks like there's a couple of little sheds there in that clearing. I don't know if they're still there. I didn't go around to that side of the property. If there were any issues with the legality of those buildings, I think it would have been captured during the DICART process. But no, you are right. The description should include detached garage, dwelling, and I guess accessory structures on the east side of the lot. So duly noted.
So then my other question is, there was a description of not the lake trout lake, the other lake as being at recreational capacity. Does that place any restrictions on this lot if it in fact has, and I believe it does, within the shoreline residential area?
Through you, Madam Chair, because this property is not a waterfront property, I don't believe DICART's RCC policies apply, but I would have to double check that. Again, this one's been through DICART, so I make the assumption that they reviewed this against those policies and didn't have an issue.
And I'll make my last comment. Sometimes we get site plans that show where there's a building envelope. Because there's concerns here, I think it would have been beneficial for that to have been brought forward. We're sort of, everybody's punting it down the road, assuming that there is going to be an appropriate building envelope and driveway access. I know it's all conditional, but anyways, end of comment.
Yeah, and through you, Madam Chair, just to clarify, so the Riverstone environmental study did basically identify areas of the lot not to be touched, and it's basically the southwest corner where that steep slope is, but the rest of the property
Is available.
So there were the actual, specific location of the dwelling footprint was not included in the EIS, and I don't think the EIS really that's not the intent of it. It's just to identify where features are on the property and to stay away from them. But DICART will, through their site development plan, nail down where the building envelopes will go.
There was a Mr. Eric Abel who was going to speak to this application. Is Mr. Abel available?
Yes, he is in attendance. We are just going to move him forward.
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Abel. You have heard our planner's report and the questions raised about the application. Are there any comments that you would like to make?
No, I'm just here to answer any additional questions.
Do members of the committee have questions for Mr. Abel? Hearing none, then could I have a mover and a seconder to receive the report and grant provisional approval to the application? Member Kennedy, Member Donald.
Be it resolved that the Land Division Committee of the County of Haliburton received the report related to application for consent H-00324 Morley, and that the Land Division Committee for the County of Haliburton grant provisional approval of application for consent H-00324 Morley, subject to the conditions of approval. Member McKelvey?
Yeah.
Member Snyder?
Yes.
Member Kennedy?
Yes.
Member Donald?
Yes.
Chair Danielson?
Yes,
Thank you.
that's carried. Thank you. Moving on with the agenda, is there any other business? Hearing none. Question for you, Adam. In the case where we're making, there are questions raised about an application and assumptions made. If the committee was to ask for a deferral to get clarification on, their questions, what's the impact of that to the application?
Well, it would just mean that the application would have to be bumped to the next month.
So
So-
it doesn't mess with any specific timelines or that we're required to meet?
No, I guess like in the worst case scenario, after a certain amount of time, if the committee has not made a decision, the applicant can appeal, but it wouldn't be in their interest in this case. One thing I would suggest, and I've done this in the past, where if there's similar questions today, to today's questions, such as if there's lower tier official plan issues with an application, I encourage committee to send me a quick email before, and I can probably answer most of it before the meeting, and I'll make sure to CC everybody. And that's one way we can clear up some of these matters and hopefully reduce or eliminate deferrals.
Point well taken. The only thing that I would say is that sometimes when a question is raised by one member at a meeting that we're all in attendance, it does raise the awareness of other members and sometimes raises other questions. So, I would still encourage if a member has had a question and has received clarification from Adam, to ask the question again so that everyone else is aware of it.
One thing I would suggest that if, for example, if member Kennedy had a question, please feel free to email me and then CC the rest of the committee, and then I'll respond, like I'll reply all, and then everybody will have the same information.
Okay, that's great. So our next committee meeting is on March the 11th. Hopefully everybody's available. Seeing nods, that's great. So I guess there's nothing left but to ask for a motion to adjourn. Moved by member Kennedy. Seconded by member Donald.
Be it resolved that the February 12th, 2024 Land Division Committee meeting be hereby adjourned at 1:23 p.m.
All in favor? That's carried. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thanks. Have a great afternoon.
Thank
Right
you.
ahead.